Hello everyone. I am Rodolini Assis from the Department of the Filipino, and I am going to discuss with you about the topic about the surrogated motherhood. So before we move to my discussion, I'm going to discuss with you four questions about my topic. The first question is a woman's labor a commodity? The second is the labor of surrogate mother a labor of love or a labor of money? Third is surrogate mother a gesture of spoliation or a gesture of empowerment? The fourth is surrogate motherhood moral or immoral? So let's proceed to the discussion. The first question I said earlier, is a woman's labor a commodity? The answer is, when a market norms are used, we must resist this market to ensure the value of women and children to bring about the rich conception of human flourishing. Women's labor is not commodity. For the second question, is the labor of surrogate mother love or a labor of money? The answer for this is shortage of children available for adoption and difficult qualification as adoptive parent. Two fundamental basic human rights, the right to procreate and freedom of contract, can make whatever decision they want just as long the child is harmed. For the third question, is surrogate mother a gesture of exploitation or a gesture of empowerment? The answer is, while surrogate mothering can be rendered immoral if women are conquered teams of subordinate contracts, it has the potential to empower women and increase their status in society by providing a job that is less risky and more enjoyable than other jobs women are forced to be take and by achieve greater social recognition labor. For the fourth questions, this answers, is surrogate motherhood moral or immoral? The answer is no, for the same reasons which lead one to reject heterologous artificial fertilization, for it is contrary to the unity of marriage and to the dignity of the procreation of human person. Surrogate motherhood represents objective failure to meet the obligation of maternal love, of conjugal fidelity, and of responsible motherhood. It offends the dignity and the right of the brought into the world and brought parents. It sets up to the detriment of families a division between the physical, psychological, and moral elements which constitute those families. Now we are going to my discussion. Obviously, the issue of surrogate motherhood has not yet attracted the interest of Filipinos. Never have we heard of any official report citing a Filipino surrogate mother in the Philippines. This is the Filipino women who become surrogate mothers. It appears that to some, surrogate mother is a very lucrative business. In fact, we can project two competing advertisements, one which says room for rent and other which says womb for rent. Now, what is really surrogate motherhood? It is the transaction through which a woman bears the child for the convenience of another woman. A surrogate mother is one who is paid money to bear a child for other people and terminate her parental rights so that the other may rear the child as thought the child is their own. The following are the essential features in surrogate motherhood. Number 1 is a woman is inseminated with the sperm of a man to whom she is not married. Number 2, when the baby is born, the surrogate mother relinquishes her claim in favor of another, usually the man from the whom the sperm that obtained. Number 3, the woman would be surrogate mother provide the eggs so her biological input is at least equal to that of the man. To pay a closer look at surrogated motherhood, we can raise the following issues. Number 1 is that the surrogated mother selling the services she gives when she takes the risk and burden of pregnancy for another. Number 2, does that surrogated motherhood separate sex and reproduction? Number 3, does not surrogate motherhood separate reproduction and marriage? For the first issue, is not the surrogate mother selling the services she gives when she takes the risk and burden of pregnancy for other? In response to the objection that such as contracts are alienating or dehumanizing, since they require women to suppress their involving perspective on their pregnancies, liberal supporters of surrogate motherhood argue that the freedom to contract includes the freedom to enter a contract to bear a child for an infertile couple. After entering the contract, the surrogate may not be free to interpret her pregnancy as that not of surrogate mother, but there is more than one appropriate way of interpreting one's pregnancy. To restrict or ban surrogacy contracts would be to prohibit women from making other particular interpretation of their pregnancies they may wish to make, requiring them to live up to culturally constituted image of ideal motherhood. For the second issue, does not surrogate motherhood separate sex and reproduction? So this is a fairly common question and answer is no. In a compensated surrogacy arrangement with a gestational carrier, the baby's DNA comes from the intended mother's egg or from an egg donor, and from the intended mother's father's sperm or from a sperm donor. The foregoing three specific problems evidently open the room for moral treatment of surrogate motherhood. It must be understood that surrogate motherhood is one of the progressive ways of alleviating infertility. It therefore offers insurmountable happiness in the part of childless couples who dream of having a child of their own. Another, one must be kept in observing that pregnancy may be a serious risk, if not a burden. For one woman yet, it may be much less for another. In fact, there are women who consider pregnancy as barbaric, while others love to be pregnant. Finally, it must be noted that pregnancy could also pose higher levels of risk to health or even life to some women. Considering the advantages of surrogate motherhood, contemporary moralists claim that there is nothing wrong with the surrogate mother is remunerated for the service she gives to another persons or to the childless couple. However, these moralists see some shades of exploitation relative to these activities or services. It is exploitation that makes surrogate motherhood wrong. This exploitation may take the form of the exploitation of rich to the poor or men to the women. Another question is, does not surrogate motherhood separate sex from reproduction? As has been cited earlier, artificial insemination is a condition in surrogate motherhood, banking on the rigid traditional Catholic Christian morality. Reproduction outside sex is immoral, much more if the latter is done outside the context of marriage. For the last question, does not surrogate motherhood separate reproduction and marriage? Most of the beneficiaries of surrogate motherhood are childless couples who cannot have children of their own because of infertility, either of the husband and wife. In the event of surrogate motherhood, childless couples could forego adoption as a means through which they can acquire a child, and could resort to the alternative of really having a child of their own. However, disadvantage offered in concerning reproduction, the Catholic Church is strong in saying that reproduction outside marriage is illicit, if not a proof of promiscuity, and therefore immoral.